Will Justice Cecilia Githua sentence Obado to death? Were you aware there is an office of somebody who earns salary? He's waiting for people to come. He executes them. If you do crime, I'm a criminal lawyer. Robbery with violence. Do you know the offenses of robbery with violence? If you buy a phone from somebody and that phone was snatched from someone, you'll go in for death sentence. If you snatch a woman a bag and you are two, you'll go in for death. If you are found at night, armed, walking and covering your face, you'll go in for robbery with violence, death sentence. If you murder, and there's a crazy wave, we have talked about murdering women. Obado's murder was a woman with a pregnant child. The man in Kisumu, he murdered his wife plus his 2 children. Major Mugure murdered his wife plus 2 children. Death sentence. Most likely, the president, this time, will not commute the death sentence to life imprisonment. Welcome to trending version of Court Helicopter News. Several people have been sentenced to death this week. The first one who escaped death narrowly was Major Mugure. He survived death, but he was given a life sentence. Justice Joe Mukutu Omido sentenced somebody in Kisumu to a death sentence. Will Justice Cecilia Githua sentence Obado to death? That's not our issue. The issue is, what is the law? How have people been slaughtered, have been executed in this country? Vivian went to the history, and this is the history. We attained independence in 1963. From 1963 to 1987, people were sentenced to death were 3,584. From 1963 to 1987, 3,584 people sentenced to death. 280 were executed. 280 were executed. The last execution happened in July 1987. This was after the coup that happened in 1982, which was led by junior officers of the Air Force of Kenya. The court-martial sentenced Hezekiah Ochuka and Pancras Oteyo Okumu to death. They were executed, and that was the last time they were executed. So the question is, what has been happening with the people who are sentenced to death? Because since 1987, nobody has been sentenced, nobody has been executed. The law says that the president has power to commute the death sentence to life imprisonment. President Mwai Kibaki, may God rest his soul in eternal peace, in the year 2009, he commuted people who had been sentenced to death, 4,000 of them, to life imprisonment. President Uhuru Kenyatta commuted 2,747 death row inmates to life imprisonment. 2022, President Ruto also commuted those who had remained. So today, from 2022 to date, the people have been sentenced to death. We'll wait for Ruto. If Ruto commutes it, fine. If he doesn't commute it, the law has not been repealed. People are saying that you cannot be executed. Don't be cheated. The law is still there. So anybody talking about that I cannot be executed, wacha machezo, listen to the law. The judge in Kisumu, Justice Omido, said very clearly, the Supreme Court said that the constitution, the death sentence for murder is unconstitutional. But it is still in the statute. It has not been removed. So today, I read to you, if you are a robber with violence, you remember the only sentence is death. Treason is death. Murder, you can still be sentenced to death. So let us know, how will if Obado is sentenced to death or any other people are sentenced to death? We went and looked at the prison rules, number 60 of 1963. This is the law of the Republic of Kenya. What does it say in section 105? Execution of prisoners sentenced to death. 1. All executions shall be attended by the medical officer and carried out by a public executioner appointed by the commissioner or by a prison officer appointed by the commissioner. So the commissioner of prisons will appoint somebody called a public executioner. Were you aware there is an office of somebody who earns salary? He's waiting for people to come. He executes them. I think Vivian was telling me she cannot apply for that job. To wait people to come and you hang them? That there is a person called a public executioner. This is very interesting from Court Helicopter. 2, a medical officer must be present when you are going. 2, all executions shall be carried into effect in accordance with the instructions issued from time to time by the commissioner. The power on how you will be executed, it is the commissioner who issues instructions, the mode of execution. The powers of the Commissioner General is massive. 3, the officer in charge and the public executioner shall make themselves familiar with such instructions and shall satisfy themselves that every precaution is taken to ensure efficiency and dispatch, and that all appliances are maintained in good condition. So they will take the instructions of the Commissioner General, update themselves, rehearse, ensure the machines are ready, and they are well serviced, waiting the neck of somebody to walk in and be executed. Lastly, 105.4, unless authorized by a written order by the commissioner, no person shall attend an execution other than the officer in charge, the public executioner, the medical officer, and such other prison officers as the officer in charge may direct. The family will not be allowed. The relatives will not be allowed. You will be taken there, blindfolded. You walk in and you are hanged. If the commissioner says your death is by hanging, you will get hanged. There are 4 methods of executing prisoners. The first one is by a lethal injection. This one is practiced in the United States, the USA, China, Vietnam, and Thailand, where the chemical process induces unconsciousness, you become paralyzed, and the heart stops beating. Hanging. This method is used mostly in Iran, Iraq, Japan, Singapore, and Egypt. This is also the method used in Kenya. Usually, it utilizes either the standard drop or long drop technique to cause cervical fracture or asphyxiation. The third one is flying squat. This is where one is shot dead. It is normally practiced in North Korea, Belarus, Afghanistan, and some parts of China. It is also permitted in a few states of the US, such as Utah, and normally it is applicable in military officers. Lastly, beheading, cutting off the head. Why, Vivian? It is practiced in countries such as Saudi Arabia under the Islamic interpretation of their judicial law. So these are the realities that we are bringing to you. What are the lessons in this matter? Avoid crime. If you do crime, I'm a criminal lawyer. Robbery with violence. Do you know the offenses of robbery with violence? If you buy a phone from somebody and that phone was snatched from someone, you'll go in for death sentence. If you snatch a woman a bag and you are two, you'll go in for death. If you are found at night, armed, walking and covering your face, you'll go in for robbery with violence, death sentence. If you murder, and there is a crazy wave, we have talked about murdering women. Obado's murder was a woman with a pregnant child. The man in Kisumu, he murdered his wife plus his 2 children. Major Mugure murdered his wife plus 2 children. Death sentence. Most likely, the president this time will not commute the death sentence to life imprisonment. Most likely, the president is going to say, in order to stop infanticide, in order to stop killing of children, let those ones, the sentences, be executed. Wakili Danstan Omari, courtesy of Vivian, who has done a tremendous issue of doing this research with a warning. Let us be law-abiding citizens. From Court Helicopter News, we wish you a fantastic week. Thank you very much.